Here we go. We are up to podcast number 14, Ross Forde Radio. Miz is back. Hi, Miz.
Hi, Ross.
How's your cat?
The cat's okay. He's taking the overlap of the house move very well. He's not traumatized.
So we've made it to the new place, or are we still in the old place?
We're still in the old place. The new place, the final move is Monday. Yeah.
Great start to the week.
Yeah, I know, yeah. Yeah. Move the sofa, move the bed, move the cat. That's it.
What else do you need? What else do you need?
2 carfuls of books and plants and records.
You won't read them again. They're just nice to have about.
Exactly.
Just nice to have about.
The architecture of medieval towns.
Perfect.
Yeah.
You, like me, are someone who struggles with passwords.
Yes.
Why, in this day and age, is it so difficult?
I don't know. I don't know. I think because you rewind 10 years when things started needing passwords, and then somebody said that you needed to add a capital letter, and then somebody else said you needed to add a punctuation mark, and now all these years later, I can't remember which one's got a capital A and a lowercase z and whatever. So
you try use the same one, or you kind of evolve it with a number on the end or a figure here, like ridiculous.
It doesn't let you.
The passwords. Oh.
Yeah. And then you do password reset and it says, your password must include a number and a punctuation mark. So you type in the one you think you're going to use because you're like, this must have been it. No, you can't use that one because you used it before.
And then I get into the cycle of change, like I've changed it so many times, like for my Apple, is because then you change it and it don't work. So you change it and then something works, but then it's because it's only a slight difference on what you've had before. Then it goes back to the another one. And you put that one in, but then it's the same, like on Apple, I'm an Apple person. I don't know why, but I can't change now, it's too late. But then your music signs out, but then your books sign out. So then you've got to put it in for books. So you want to listen to your audio book when you're driving.
Yeah.
And then that doesn't work. So you have to go back and change it again. And then you have to do the whole process on your music and your books. And then you want to download a new app. Mm-hmm. And the apps used to be Face, but now they've gone back to password. But sometimes it's Face.
Oh, right. Okay. That's good to know. The only app I've downloaded in the last year is, 2. Everyone here uses this, because I'm in Copenhagen, if you didn't know. Everyone here uses this thing called Mobile Pay, which hasn't really kicked off in England. So I got that.
What's Mobile Pay?
It's basically, it goes through your phone number on your phone.
Or your phone number?
So if you were at a retailer, they have a mobile pay number, like a code number. You put it into your app and your phone number connects with them and sends them money. Somehow.
They don't have Apple Pay?
Yeah, but I think mobile pay has been around longer, and it's see, when you live in Scandinavia, you can get lots of things that exist in the rest of the world, but 9 times out of 10 they're rebranded to be Scandinavian. Okay. So it's probably exactly the same as Apple Pay, but it's Scandinavian.
Right.
I ordered some vitamins online the other day, and they're exactly the same as the ones I used to get in the UK, but they're branded Nordic Health. It's exactly the same thing. Same packaging, same colour, same quantity, everything. But it's got to be Scandinavian. Otherwise, it's no good.
Fair. Well, they like what they like. What vitamins were they?
Exactly.
This is the health podcast generally. What vitamins were they?
It was a vitamin D mouth spray, actually.
Nice.
Yeah. So apparently it gets into your system quicker if it's straight on your tongue.
You're not the first person on this podcast to discuss mouth spray and mouth drop vitamin D supplements.
Oh, okay. Great minds. Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah. Because it's really gloomy over here. And I know that we're only slightly further north than Leeds. But there's a distinct difference in the darkness when it gets to winter. a distinct difference.
It's darker, a darker dark.
It's just for longer. I know everybody always says the further north you get, but it's quite overwhelming when you realize that the sun isn't going in. It's just reaching the top of the apartments opposite. Oh. And I'm like, oh, it's dark at 3 p.m. So I need some vitamin D.
Right. Let's talk about what we're here to talk about. Yeah, vitamin D, important. Did you have a gap without it?
I'd never taken it before. I never had it when I was in the UK. So this was a new venture for me to try it. It was recommended by one of your old colleagues, actually, and Nikki, who went down to Cardiff. Yeah. So yeah, I just thought I would give it a try.
Is it working?
It hasn't arrived yet. So I don't know.
We can't do like a health supplement review if it's not arrived.
No, I know. I would do. Well, yeah, okay. It was more of a branded
build
review.
Storyline. Right. Well, let us know when it gets.
I will.
Right. Okay. Into yoga.
Mm-hmm.
Into something. So you want to talk about Savasana? Do you want to tell people what Savasana is?
So Savasana or Shavasana, however you want to pronounce it. I think the proper pronunciation is Shavasana. It's corpse pose, or at the end of your class, you lie down as flat as you can, and that's the end of the class. And a lot of people think, right, okay, done my class, done my exercise, done my thigh work, my, shoulder strength, all my downward dog, blah, blah, blah. I don't need to lie down for 5 minutes at the end. I'm going.
Yeah.
So it's just been a little discussion, again, in the yoga world. We're picking up on things that have been bigger discussions. Just thinking about why you shouldn't skip Shavasana. Really, and a lot of us have been encouraging students to stay. Now everybody's teaching online, saying we're going to do an energetic class and we've got some time at the end for rest. And yeah, I just wanted to talk around that really and give people an idea of why doing your Shavasana is actually a really good idea for your entire body and your sort of functioning and your balance. Really, which is what yoga and a lot of other things in life are all about, balance.
Yeah. So I sort of said at the start, it's a bit of, when we discussed before we press record, it's order compared to the chaos.
Yes. So
the yin and the yang.
The yin and the yang, yeah. I mean, yoga in the West is a multitude of different cultures. I know that the way I teach, there's all sorts of different cultures thrown in there, from my own experiences, my own training, the things that I learned. So you might get a bit of sort of Taoism, Tai Chi, Qigong, things like that. If you can call it traditional yoga, comes from a Hindu, Indian background, and then obviously you've got all your what you call Western science stuff, when you're looking at anatomy and physiology and things. But wherever it is that your roots are, physical exercise is generally about balancing your yin and yang, which is a Far Eastern term, really. Yin being soft and gentle, yang being the fiery and energetic side. And you always say that, you want to balance good and bad or whatever it is. Life is about opposites. So, a yoga practice is to find balance in between too much stagnation and too much energy. And it's kind of the same thing if you were doing Tai Chi or Qigong or Shibashi, any of those Far Eastern forms. It's about balancing your energy. So taking hectic energy and calm energy and bringing everything to a central point. And this is what our Shavasana does, really. It's kind of like the cherry on the cake after an energetic yang yoga class. And it's bringing, like you said, the yin into that. So it's allowing your body to have that balance.
Amazing. Yeah. I think I always bring it back to Bikram because that's my main experience of yoga. Is they do the Savasana about 5, 6, maybe more times. I've forgotten how many times, but it feels like you do it after every set.
Yeah.
To kind of bring it down, because that's kind of high, then low. It's hard. It's the battle.
Yeah. That's got a kind of, Bikram has got quite a different wave pattern to the way I teach. So it's energy, rest, just catch your breath. Energy, catch your breath. Yeah. So you've got lots of peaks in your Bikram practice. I think in the studios that I'm used to teaching have got more of a steady sort of wave up to energy in the middle and coming down towards the end, because they've not got that set sequence that Bikram has. So yeah, I mean, Bikram has inserted it into there because your body, after doing an amount of exertion, your body needs some time to just catch up with itself, because there's lots of things in your body that you're not necessarily conscious of. And this is why rest and taking a longer Shavasana at the end is really important. The functioning of your nervous system. Nice hat.
Yeah, well, I thought I'll move around. I'm trying to find the best one. I'm experimenting. And today it's actually sunny in Dewsbury.
The sun's coming.
I can't see anything. I need my Ray-Bans on. It's blinding me.
Yeah, there's a lot of things that go on in your nervous system, in your body, through your nervous system, your motor and sensory nervous system. And they're not things that you actually think about, like in your conscious mind. You don't think about your lungs expanding and contracting when you breathe. You don't think about your liver and your kidneys and your stomach processing stuff. All that stuff just sort of happens.
Yeah.
And that is why we need to take a rest, because as you've been pumping oxygen into your body and you've been exercising your muscles and you've basically switched your engine up a gear, you also need to give all that other stuff that's in the background a decent rest. To basically, you'll probably hear yoga teachers saying to absorb your energy and things like that. Yeah. But working on a scientific level, you do need to give your nervous system an amount of time to actually to balance. And for things like muscle memory, for your physical body, your heart rate, your blood pressure, everything needs to return down to its baseline, its neutral spot. So it's good to do that even after you've done some kind of crazy HIIT class at the gym. It'd be nice to just lie down or sit down or something for a little while. So yeah.
And I think for me, working with clients one-to-one, I think the crossover for day-to-day life and people working hard, stressed. A lot of my clients have got a base working in the city sometimes. So I see a lot of solicitors and they work, and they're not pressing reset. This is kind of on a grandiose scale. So from the yoga into the life of set, they're still not getting that rest and that reset.
Yeah.
And I mean, encouraging people just to go for a walk in the countryside and just reset with nature in that way. And it's partly to shut off from work and shut off from the chaos and disorganization of work and just go and enjoy a walk. And I think the yin and Savasana kind of fits into that. That kind of pattern.
You got like meditation is hugely beneficial, and it doesn't have to be how everybody thinks of a very kind of deep spiritual sort of Thai Buddhist meditation of sitting in complete silence. Yeah, I mean, there are some schools of thought that even say that is an impossibility, because your mind is created, your brain is created to be an active place. You can't quiet the mind.
Yeah.
There's always something that's going to be going on. You can do walking meditation, breathing meditation. A lot of people find that going for a jog is a meditation. But changing your scenery, changing your environment, and the things that your senses pick up on, smell, touch, sound, those are all the things that feed into your nervous system to switch things up and allow your body subconsciously to experience different states of yin and yang and rest and activity. If you're constantly just doing one thing repetitively all the time, you're not stimulating your energy or your brain or your nervous system or anything in any way. And there've been a lot of research done into people with serious health issues doing meditation and rest, and it actually having a completely different effect on their brain, and subsequently how their bodies then absorb medication, which is really interesting and possibly a little deep for me to go into. But I remember I went to there was this guy, one of those, you know, those, you used to get those pop-up sort of talks, I can't remember what they were called, that you'd go to after work for half an hour or something by, you know, a psychology professor or somebody with a crazy new business or whatever. But there was a guy and I went to one of his, and he used to be a research scientist for a big chemical company working on cancer drugs. And he just got a little fed up of like this constant process of testing and, you know, chemicals and blah, blah, blah. And he just moved out of his profession and started doing more research into meditation and relaxation and the effects that that sort of stuff would have on sort of people's adrenaline and cortisol and the critical functions in the body. And instead of having to take drugs to address those things that happen naturally in your body, you can actually reach your calm state yourself just by taking a change in environment and stopping those situations that are going to trigger your body into that fight or flight, constant stress response state. So that's your meditation. And that's basically what happens in your Savasana at the end of a class.
I think so, yeah. And I think on a wider scale, people just do come and exercise. When people start exercising, and from being around the gym environment, when people come in and start, the massive differences they feel in the health, the wellness, all their energy, just doing a bit of exercise is massive. So back on the Savasana, have you been having trouble with people? All right, I don't need to do this bit. I've got to chip off. I've got to get my bus. I've got to get the train. Have you been dragging people back in?
I think it's quite a difficult thing for people to get their head around. Just if you've gone into a class with an intention, it's quite hard to get your head around doing the opposite of that just for 5 minutes at the end. Because if you go into a yoga class, there's an awful lot of stuff crammed into 60 minutes. You warm up, you move, you breathe, you rest, you do it. It's like boom, 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 boom. You know, much as yoga is supposed to be all like sweetness and light and incense, there's an awful lot to pack into that. So when I was at Pure Gym, when I met you, and I've done a few trainings on it since, is actually teaching full classes that are around that same kind of perspective as your Savasana and your warm up and warm down stuff. And I know that there were a lot of people who were working out in the gym who really enjoyed doing that because it gave them an hour long to properly explore the relaxation of their muscles, like in a yin yoga class. So yin is where you're stretching the muscles and the tissues and the tendons and all the soft squishy stuff that connects your entire body, not just a muscle, a bicep.
Yeah.
All the stuff that's in your shoulder and your elbow and between your ribs and everything. And the results that people were getting from that was that people who were runners felt more mobile and less achy, because you're opening up all those tissues in your body for your blood to flow through. And also restorative yoga. I know we've got a shared friend who I was literally talking to yesterday about the fact that he's discovered restorative yoga, and that is much more along the lines of Savasana, where you're lying with an awful lot of support. It's really lovely blankets, cushions, etc. And again, meditating in certain positions, really gentle positions, to again relax the nervous system. So I think a lot more people in the last couple of years have been tuning into things like that, because it gives them more time to experience that Savasana thing, instead of it being sandwiched on the end of a class that had a completely different intention, you know?
Yeah. Super.
Yeah, you're just like, yes, miss. Yeah.
I think you cover it, and you've obviously spoke about this very well and got a lot into it. I don't think I've got anything to add. I think there's people out there, for the general population who most of the time listen to this. It's not a specific. It's not a dedicated yoga channel. So we're trying to kind of open the beauty and the benefits of yoga to everyone. So I don't feel like there's anything I need to add. I think people do need to work against the life. A lot of people's lives can be kids work, homeschooling, and they're just not taking that time just to breathe and reset.
Yeah, exactly. You don't have to spend an hour doing this stuff. If you can just step away from your desk for 5 minutes, sit somewhere quiet, close your eyes on your front doorstep, your balcony, wherever you are, just for 5 minutes, and take some deep breaths, that in itself is going to bring that yin balance to the yang of your hectic life. And if you start feeling a little more in control and a little more balanced going forwards into the rest of your afternoon, that's when you can start diving into trying some more, like a longer meditation. There's all sorts of people on podcasts and Spotify and blah, 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 who do guided meditations for 10 minutes. And you don't have to do anything crazy. You just sit still. That's it. Yeah. But that is sometimes the hardest thing for people to do, because we've been trained in the West to constantly be on the go and do things and go for things and get things. Yeah. So sitting still is abnormal to us, really.
Yeah, it can be difficult. I think a lot of trainers at the moment are kind of encouraging the clients to get that 10,000 steps, and you're seeing more and more posts about, I've got my 10,000 steps in, I've got my 10,000 steps. And I think they're doing it for kind of calorie counting and movement, and to try and get the benefits of doing some low intensity to cardio to stimulate some fat movement. Most trainers are kind of aesthetic goals.
Yeah.
But I feel the more people who are walking and being outside and taking the time just to walk about, I feel like the benefits from doing that kind of walking and that type of slow, steady exercise will help them. The benefits will be stronger in kind of this yin that we're talking about, the reset, the being outside, the fresh air, away from noise and telephones and.
Absolutely. I mean, we always talk now in our sort of modern European society about what do we do about nature? Like, nature is this separate thing, just this thing that's there. And what we tend to forget is that as human beings, we are a bundle of cells that is part of nature. So disconnecting ourselves from that and living in a box, driving around in a box, working in a box, I just think it's soul destroying that people have disconnected themselves so much from just walking and looking at the clouds and breathing the fresh air and listening to the birds or whatever. And we need to reconnect with the fact that we are part of nature, really. And one thing I really actually miss about being in Copenhagen, much as it's the capital of the city, it's really not like being in London or anything. It's not that big. There are no hills, and everybody cycles everywhere. So when I was in Leeds, I absolutely loved walking up and down the hills to go to the university to teach, walking back to my house through Woodhouse Park, down the ridge, if anyone listening is from Leeds, and there was always nature, there was hills, there was exercise, I was walking, I was breathing, and that was my meditation, that was my time out of my job to do that. Getting in 10,000 steps, but I would count my breath, I would walk slowly, I would be mindful about my paces, and I really, really miss doing that now. I really do.
Yeah, and you used to live you're virtually in the forest. I could never find, first time I came to your house, I could never find it.
Virtually in the forest, Yeah, it was so beautiful, that house, just nestled in the side of Woodhouse Ridge. It was really lovely. So you know why I'd miss it there. Now I live on the top floor of an apartment block. So, but that's the thing. You change your environment. We make sure that we get out of the city, take walks around the lakes, there's a beautiful country park that's like 40 minutes drive away. And there are numerous green spots in and around the city that you can actually go to. And I think everybody can do that, to just take some time and give themselves that different layer of stimulation to keep the cells and the nervous system and everything in your body absorbing different stuff.
Yeah.
That's how you find your balance.
I feel that's a fantastic takeaway. To end on. I think we've covered all the boxes.
Fantastic.
So the question is when is your specific yoga podcast starting?
I don't know. I need to think of some more subjects, and I need to know whether people will be interested.
Of course they will. If you don't make it, you'll never know.
Okay. I know that a few of my friends have listened to ours and they think it's lovely. So, yeah.
There you go. Keep going.
Yeah.
So, packing all weekend?
Packing a little bit more, starting to paint this place.
Because you're leaving. Why are you painting it? You're leaving.
Because I could do a podcast on this, tenancy laws in Copenhagen.
Right, here we go.
It's the opposite of the UK. There is no protection for tenants. You have to return your apartment to be in absolutely bright white, pristine condition. And we painted the wall turquoise.
For those listening on Spotify, Miz has a feature wall, which is a deep turquoise, being illustrated. You might be able to find this on YouTube.
Yeah, it's bright. It's going to take quite a few coats of white, so that's my job this weekend.
Delightful. Well,
right?
But it sounds a bit of going back to the main feature of the podcast. That could be a good bit of wax on, wax off, Mr. Miyagi style.
Yeah. A bit of breathing meditation like that with my paint roller.
Yeah. Wax on, wax off, Daniel style.
Exactly.
Right. Amazing. Thank you very much for coming on.
Thanks for having me.
My pleasure. We'll get you on again, but under the condition that you start your own podcast so you can come on and tell everyone about that.
Okay.
I hope the move goes smoothly and we will catch up soon. Thank you very much.
Definitely. Thanks, Ross.
Sweet deal. Right. Just from here, I'd just like to thank everyone for sharing and liking and everyone listening, everyone giving out the feedback on my private messages. This was episode 14. 15 will be in the can within a matter of days. Thanks again for listening, and we will see you again soon.